Welcome to Radiant Creators, Ed and Lihi. Last Ed and I talked, it was June 2017. That was quite a while ago, and I've tried to keep up on all that is going on, but you guys have kind of outgrown my ability to keep up. So I wanted to, well, meet the new Lihi, and also just, hey, what's transpired? There was Ed, and now there's a set.
Yeah. I stumbled across Lihi a year and a half ago in New York City. A mutual friend of ours invited us both to a lecture up there that, I started not to attend, but then my intuition said I needed to. So I went to the lecture, and the lecture was kind of boring, and I went to the back of the room, and while I was sitting in the back of the room playing on my iPad and with the kids, I started feeling and noticing this energy up front. And I never had ever seen that before anywhere or ever felt it, anything like that. And I wasn't sure what it was. And then when the lecture was over, Lihi and this other girl, when they come walking by me, it created a magnetic push on me. I could feel the energy projecting, pushing me from her. And so when she, when she went by, I mean, her energy is just radiating, just blasting out of her like crazy and stuff. And so I followed her up the street, and we went into a Mexican type restaurant or so, and it was her and another girl, and I was just following really the energy. And when they kind of separated, the energy went with Lihi, and so I just went right on over and sat down beside her, and just said, "Wow." And I could just feel and see the energy, and everything else just seemed to fade out. And it was just me and her, but yet the restaurant was full.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And when he sat down next to me and we just looked at each other, it was I knew it was a knowing. I knew he was seeing. It wasn't thinking. It was just a instantaneous, like we know each other without having personal history. So we just looked at each other, and I could see him looking at me from a point beyond everything, the point of creation, really what it is, if I give it words now. And we just kept looking, and I just kept traveling and traveling and traveling in my mind, and it was just like uncharted waters, and it was just, and it was like, I never said this before, but it was like an instant, it was an instant recognition, but it was an instant, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Trust. There was like an instant, just openness, a trust, a connectedness, with not even understanding why or what, but just knowing that this is where it is. And everything else in the restaurant, like Ed was saying, just was like shattered. And we were just like kind of, that was like all happening down there, but we were just kind of here, and I'm hearing people's conversations. It was like really a lot going on in that moment. And we were just connecting, from, being to being, or it was just, it wasn't, I saw Ed in his physical form, but it wasn't about Ed being in his physical form. So that's really how we just kind of, and in that moment, it's not even, I knew there was going to be something that was going to be unfolding. I didn't know how or what or where. And it wasn't even coming from, oh, wow, I'm sitting here, maybe we can do something together. This is incredible. It wasn't anything that was talking. It was just an instantaneous connection and a moment of just like coming. It was source meeting us in human as humans, as the man and the woman, but really as the pure masculine and the pure feminine. And that was what was here. So I connected with him in that place of the pure feminine and pure masculine, yet we were in the form of man and woman, known as Ed and Lihi. So that was incredible, and it was, nothing is a coincidence. It was, all my life I've been actually this, like Ed was kind of, looking for this energy. I wasn't looking for the energy, but I was just knowing that there was something that needed to make. All my life I've been searching in my own ways, but without like, oh, I'm searching for this, whether it was through love with a man, whether it was through, doing whatever it may be. Yeah. So it's phenomenal.
So, yeah. So after we met, we got to talking, and then I demonstrated some energy, and she felt a little bit and this and that. And so we kept talking. And then, I'm been under study for 26 years at these different research centers. And so I left out of New York and had come back to one of them, the Monroe Institute, where I worked with Dr. Ross Dunsey, and we were getting ready to start another project. And I said to Ross, I said, I met this person. I believe that she's got energy too. Reckon we can get her tested? And she said, sure, if I can talk her into coming down. And Lihi jumped right on it. And she came down to the lab there, and we wired her up. And sure enough, she produced over 50 volts DC in her body. And when I was getting a little over 70 volts, and then we, played around with it in the lab there, and we applied our energy to other people with it.
Yeah, but I don't know if people know what the average voltage a person has or a human being has.
Yeah, well, the average is about a volt. 1 volt's the most they've really seen out of anybody else until we come along.
Wow,
Right.
so the average is a volt, and Ed's got 70, and Lehi's got 50. Wow.
Well, we can generate that. It's not that we have it.
Gotcha.
We bring our body voltages up. That's this bio-energy that we got here that Dr. Levengood researched in me for all them years. When we turn on the bio, basically we're activating our higher brain functions. And now what Dr. Ross has learned about me from a 1.5-year study that started in 2015 is that when I turn this energy on, then our brains start resonating at all levels of consciousness. They see frequencies from alpha to theta all the time in different parts of our head. So that energy, the bio-energy, when we activate it and resonate it together, then we can just do all kinds of things to help other people out with.
When you mentioned BIRE, the BIRE, what does that, can we get into a little bit exactly what is that? What does that acronym stand for, and what is it?
Well, it's the energy that Dr. Levengood wanted to give us or he gave it to me, but Lihi now it's just like he wrote it for her also. That's because we're able to increase our electrical energies up to high measurable levels like we are. He wanted to give it a name that is not Reiki, that is not hands-on, that is not therapeutic touch. So he coined up the term Bio-Intrinsic Resonant energy to validate that this energy that is activated in our higher consciousness, at us by will. So when we turn this on, we're turning on, in his terminology, as bio. Now, it might have been called other names, and it's been an energy that's been utilized in humans for thousands and thousands of years. So this is just the modern day terminology.
And it's measured, so it's scientifically measured, so that is why we're calling it, bio-intrinsic resonant energy. And this energy is an energy that is, when you hear the word biological intrinsic, so it's within the human body and it resonates. So it resonates as source. We're accessing source energy, pure state of consciousness. And really by us as human beings, we can actually all have access to it, but it's been shut down. People have not been utilizing this energy that is actually intrinsic in them. It's dormant in them because it's been conditioned out of them and we've been programmed as humanity. We've been programmed and conditioned. Hence, we only use 8 to 12% of our brains. The human brain basically uses only that. But when Ed and I resonate, we're using all levels of consciousness. So it opens up to everything. It opens up to the unseen, the seen. And it brings that awareness and that aliveness inside the human body. You could actually embody it and move as that. I mean, I also call it the pure state of love. But yeah, but love also has been kind of conceptualized, it's been conceptualized as love is like, oh, I want this, I need this. If you do this for me, that means you love me. I mean, this is pure, pristine, sacred energy. And that's what, our meeting Ed is not a coincidence at this point, at this time. It's really what we're actually bringing down here right now and bringing awareness, education, and transmission of it all. Yeah, and we've had tremendous success in actually connecting with other people. And what it brings out in people, it brings out everything on all levels, on the level of physical, mental, emotional, psychological healing. And we don't do the healing. It's Ed, you can maybe describe it better as far as
when we activate the bioenergy and then we transmit it, and we can send it non-local. We can send this worldwide. And when we activate it, anyone that is listening to us on the internet, phone call, whatever platform we're doing it through, as long as they're aware of it, then it triggers the systems in their bodies to start receiving what we're sending. And then it just literally goes in through people and charges up. In a sense, it charges their batteries up. In a sense, it cleans up the electrical pathways, the nervous systems in their bodies, and clears up the fog out of their brains so that they're refreshed and rebooted. Another thing they're saying is we are electrically altering or rebooting the DNA in people to cause them to get healthy again, to back to their original design. So that's what the fire is.
It reminds
right.
me
And
of.
as the
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry to cut you off there. Aline Day McCusick was on the show, and we talked about the biofield energy, and she's works with sound, with tuning fork healing. And one of the things that she mentioned that I'm reminded of while you guys were talking is that there tends to be the thought of raising the body, like raising the energy. People say, we need to raise our energy, but maybe it's not so much raising our energy as simply tuning it. Maybe its natural state is exactly where it should be. We just need a tune up, So it seems like you guys are basically you're getting in there and you're cleaning the spark plugs and stuff like that, and you're cleaning it out. You're allowing the natural flow to flow.
Yeah, but as we've studied the human analogy, why not just go ahead and activate that generator in your head and start producing voltage levels of 40, 50, 60 volts in your body, as opposed to just running along at 1 volt. 1 volt is for healthy people. It's negative DC voltage in unhealthy people. And we did experiments there at the Monroe. We've got a written published paper on it there, where me and Lihi, we did 2 experiments. We did one with a person in between us, where me and her were applying our electrical voltage into the person. And we had all 3 of us wired up into the systems, and they grounded us all out before we started. So we started from 0 potential. And so in just a few minutes, he was up to 50 volts. I was up to 70 volts. And the person that was standing between us that started off at a negative, I think they were negative 3 volts nearly, because they were in pain and problems. And about 10 minutes time of me and Lihi applying our energy into them, we brought this person's electrical voltage up to 22 volts DC, and they just felt wonderful. It took the stress out of their bodies, the pains and this and that. Then we did a second experiment with Lihi and I, hooked up to the equipment, and we did it over the telephone on the Dr. Ross Dunsee's wife, who had been having problems and stuff. And so we did an experiment over it with her, and she had instruments hooked to her that showed an increase in voltage, and it also cleared up her brain fog and other problems. So that's kind of written in the paper. I'll see if I can find it and share you the links to it.
That'd be great.
Also, the other thing, on an emotional level and a heart level, it is actually opening up people people to kind of open up their heart. People are just feeling, less anxious, less depressed, less, the daily grind of the emotional system. That is another thing that actually gets activated. So I come from a mental health background, so it's incredible to be able to take this energy and work with human beings, because it helps so much on the psychiatric, psychological level as well. So it's opening up, it's aligning the system with the body, the mind, the heart, everything. I mean, when I access the energy, I mean, when I'm with Ed, I'm accessing it through my heart and through my mind. But that's really, it's my, as the feminine, I'm knowing that energy. So when Ed and I are doing it together, it just kind of it catapults. It's incredible.
Well, I like the idea of tuning it up. I mean, I personally like my healing kind of monster truck rally style. So I like cranking the DC voltage up. Well, I guess one question for sure is Lihi, I'm working on your name there. What is your background? Because it seems like I would guess that you might feel like you've been in training for this your whole life and didn't know it.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, I've been in training with this since a child, because I've always, I've always seen life and always questioned and always wondered. I mean, at the age of 3 or 4 or even 2.5, I would say, what is all this? You know what I mean? Would also be very intrigued with death. So I was already kind of tapping into this is a human life, but I was already questioning what goes on beyond this. What is it? What is it that when you're not here, And so I would kind of, at one point, I remember even fearing death, because I'd be like, I'd go to sleep. How do I know if I'm going to wake up in the morning? So I was always questioning. And I would also look at people, and I would see them beyond, I call it like beyond the veil. I would see their essence. I would see their soul, or I would feel their soul. So they can come to me and present with, like, their judgments, let's just say, you can call them, or you can say, there's jealousies, there's anger. But I would see all that, but I would also be very, 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 very tuned in to the purity of who they are. Now I can give it words. I didn't understand it there. It's very confusing as a teenager. So I was always very interested in the human connection and human nature. And that's what propelled me to actually go into the field of psychology, and work with all different levels of people's functioning. So let's say, on a psychiatric level, I work with people that are schizophrenic, people that have bipolar, people that have, major depression, all different types of ailments and stuff. And I would always see beyond those ailments, because I would see that they, like schizophrenics, were at times tapping into energies that were beyond here. And because our humanity at this point in the state of development that we're at, or the state of evolution that we're at, there was no room for them to actually bring it here. In fact, it would be distorted, because it would be contained. You know what I mean? We're not contained human beings. We are human beings that are meant to have access to this energy, to buyer or to source. We're meant to live life like that within our human body. So I would see those ailments, you know what I mean? Or I would see even my own containment of having to feed into this reality without being totally full blown. And so I was always very propelled. I was always functioning on that level. I've mentioned this before, but at the age of 16, when I was actually coming into womanhood, and on a physical level and on a visual level, I started, seeing that people were kind of responding to me, boys and things like that. And I became a character of that, because I didn't know how else to be, you know what I mean? So I knew it was a limited character of who I was, and at that point, instead of feeling, wow, how great, how wonderful, it's like, I kind of felt that I was losing myself, and so it's always been with me throughout my life. It's like you said, the training, and um, and even meeting, dating. Dating was to me a very, very. If I could see the beginning, the middle, and the end, and there was no mystery to it, or no. I couldn't. I just, I couldn't be in it. I would just be in it in the way that I could to just kind of spark something. But I knew that that was not really the reason. There was no mystery to it, and the mystery was this energy that, people were just living a program in a condition, and I couldn't. I would feed into it, but it was never fulfilling. So I went into the mental health field, and I still work actually in a psychiatric hospital, so I'm still affiliated with it, and I still have a private practice. But the difference is now it's amazing because I'm bringing in this energy and giving it awareness, giving it knowledge, giving education to the people. So there's a very, vastness to it. And there was only one man, that I met. Like I told you, I was all my life I've been seeking it, and nothing else would do. And there was only one other man, which was like a soul, pure soul connection, that I met him, and we just, it was very, very powerful. But yet, because I was emotionally immature on a human level, I was still in the, with anxiety, insecurities, doubt, jealousies. And here is this man that I met, that I was meeting, this energy that I was tuned into. He was as well, but we couldn't negotiate it. And then and after that, I was just, I knew I couldn't go back to, being a regular human being. So I just kind of went into the field of consciousness, and went to a lot of training overseas, to different spiritual schools, and only very, 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 only one school that kind of, resonated with me. So I went to a school out in Washington State, and it was a channel. And at that point, channel, nobody even knew the word channel. I didn't even know the word channel. But when I met this particular individual that was channeling, this entity, it bypassed everything that I was, and it opened up a whole new. I'm constantly discovering and discovering and discovering. But meeting Ed is the epitome of it, because now, that's my love affair. It's the love affair of humanity. I'm in love with being, human. I'm in love with everybody. We're all here. Um, yeah, it's so I got into the psychology field, and now I want to bring in what Ed and I, with the science, evidenced by science, to bring in a humanity that can actually thrive and not be in separation of, like, the blame game, the anger. Nobody ever wins. You can go back and back and back. You can always, hence the world as it is right now. So this energy is so pure, that this buyer energy is so pure and so sacred, that it just kind of, and it just opens up people. And to me, I see it as a whole new, paradigm that's coming into play in relationships, in living, in healing, in not aging the way we age. So I've been in training, like you said. Life's been my training. My heart's always been, seeking it, and it couldn't be found in one individual or in one person, and
Yeah.
it just is. Yeah. So thank you for asking.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we oftentimes don't find that mega relationship until we're a little older. It's not something that you really can use when you're 20. You might think you're ready for it, but you're not. Well, you mentioned aging, um, and that's one that really speaks to me. I find that when I look at people aging, it mostly looks like it is from low voltage, uh, because I do think that our whole concept of aging and how people are aging, it's in great part because it's how they think they're supposed to age, but also
Right.
it just seems like people, when when you think about it, they look like dead batteries walking around. And so what are how do you guys see aging now? Because I really think that we should, it's not that I'm attached to this body, it can go when it needs to, but it does seem that it should live a couple hundred years long and strong. And maybe one of our problems is we don't live long enough to get wise enough to really get going before the body conks out on us.
You've been dumbed down. You've been taught that you can't do these things. You know, that they've shut you down. Um, he's in good shape, and I'm in real good shape. I'm in my mid 60s, and every time I go to things, people think I'm in my 40s. You know, so
Right. And me, like I've never had an issue with like my body, my weight, it's just the natural. I don't diet. I don't really look as to because when somebody really diets, it's like you're coming from a one level consciousness trying to make it work, and that's the containment. You need to actually open up to all your life force, and then you can actually not walk around like a dead battery.
we're working.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we're working on putting together an anti-aging or an ageless type group, and a lot of people that, I've been doing these sessions on people privately, just, a few a year, for a long time. And a lot of the people, when I do a session on them, start feeling really younger and younger and even looking younger. So we're just like recharging their batteries.
I'll tell you, Ed and I do sessions, and they come in, and they like you said, they come in and they look like a dead battery. And after just like 15, 20 minutes, they're just like giggling like little, like their essence is shining. They're feeling physically better. Their ailment it's incredible. So imagine just being able to have that and live with that and have the knowledge of it and being able to access it, how it would have an effect on your livelihood. You know what I mean? On the aging, on your livelihood, and in the way you see life, and the way you see even death. So that's what we're doing, and it's just that we've been contained and controlled and fear-based, and that's the dilemma here in humanity. But you're right. I've always said people just accept the fact that, oh wow, you lived a long life. You're 92. Just so no, we should be living for a few hundred years, if not even more. And we should be constantly regenerating ourselves.
So we're putting together a school to teach people how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so that's some of the things we're into doing right now, is finding different ways to enhance the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's, I guess we could, excuse me. Well, and that would be a great one to, that'd be a great thing to go into, is what you guys are offering right now. Because I remember when I first met Ed back in June of 2017, I was recommended to him by Ken Rolla, and did energy work with Ed. And he would get a hold of me, he'd rock me back and forth, push me back, and that was the first experience I'd ever had working with somebody who was a healer that literally could push you around the room. And I had some serious pain issues going on, and I was using Ed kind of regularly, and I can definitely attest to it works. So that was a big one for me, because oftentimes people work with a healer and, well, nothing happens. But when you work with a healer who shoves you around the room and they're not there, well, that changes things. And so at that time there was ededwards.com, but now there's lihianded.com also. And so it looks like you guys have, as you're saying, you've been developing coursework, and also you're doing sessions together with people. So what does that look like right now?
Well, we've joined it, and we do a combination. We did one yesterday where we'll get Lihi's on the phone in one place, I'm on the phone in another place, and the client is wherever, does not matter, because all this energy is non-local. We're tying into source, which is everywhere already. So we're enhancing the amount of source energy or concentrating it right here in all our awarenesses. So when we lock on, Lihi and I, we'll start resonating back and forth. See, they're already doing these dual EEG brain studies on us. I mean, COVID has slowed the studies down, unfortunately, but we did get several in just before the COVID started, and it clearly showed in our dual EEG studies that the gamma between Lihi and myself just went through the roof when we would focus on doing our energy work on people. So these studies are correlating all this evidence to back up all this pushing and pulling you around and making your body recharge and making your body grow younger again and all. So all this research is just really exciting the heck out of me.
Yeah, and what's beautiful for me is that when I'm with Ed, it's I'm accessing infinity. You know, it's been very, very frustrating and very challenging because I've had reflections here that I couldn't actually bring this energy completely out. I needed the masculine, or I needed that energy in order to kind of meet and to bring it into union, to bring it into a unified field. And on, you know, on a quantum level, and then we bring it here into this reality. So we're having also phenomenal effects doing every week. We do a group. We call it the buyer effect, where we have it Monday evenings at 8:30, where we have whoever joins, you know, around 25, 30 people, and we resonate this energy to the whole group. And it's really incredible because they're all getting such amazing effects, and they keep coming back over and over again. I mean, we've had people coming back 20 times, you know.
Yeah.
So there's something that's going on, and they're building a connection and a relationship with buyer. It's cumulative. So they're seeing it not only when they're like, okay, they're in the group right now, you know, for, you know, an hour, let's just say, giving it time. They're seeing it in their lives. They're seeing it. Everybody is having their own unique experience and understanding of it. So it's really it works on a wonder. It's scientifically based, but it's also mysterious, you know. So the effects are really incredible.
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, we start them off. We get them in the group there, and we start them off, and Lihi will get them to breathe just for a minute or so, and then I'll stand them up and lock into Lihi and wobble them all over the place for about a minute or two, and then we sit them down, get them to totally relax, and Lihi and I then start locking on to each other, and we just act like a huge nuclear power plant charging them up. And we just pour the juice to them, and everybody just gets fuzzy, warm, comfortable, tingly, just all kinds of stuff going on. Their aches and pains fade away. One lady with lymphedema, her lymphedema fades away. Others with neuropathy. In fact, we're getting so good with the neuropathy that the lab at UVA through Dr. Ross Dunseith bought us 2 dual EEG 14-channel wireless systems. So I've got one with me, Lihi has one with her. And when we're working and doing groups and doing different things, we are wearing these headsets, wirelessly sending the data of what's going on in our brains into the computers, and then ships that data in real time back to Ross at the lab from wherever we are. And so it's just the science and the happenings of what's going on is just growing like crazy with us.
It's like a phenomena, and it works. You know, when we're doing the groups, it works on an individual basis. So it's working on you on an individual basis, and yet it's also creating this field on the collective. So there's so much information that's being exchanged as we're doing this, and the group actually builds a momentum. So I'm experiencing as if the group is this group. I'm having company right here in my living room. You know what I mean? Because it's on a quantum level, but yet it's right here. So and I experience it very much also with like there's an intimacy that takes place because there's a transparency that occurs, and the boundaries are kind of just let down. You know what I mean? So it's actually everyone is actually opening up to this, and it's always a discovery. You know, I'm very blessed and very honored to actually find finally my my expression of who I am here as me, as a personal person, as Lihi, and also as the beyond. So it's me meeting myself here as an image of who I am, but tapping into Buyer and the unseen. So the group is I look forward to it every week. So that we've been doing, and it's unfolding. It's constantly and continuously unfolding and stepping into something new, something fresh. I mean, a lot of the dilemma of this reality of the human is that we live in our past. We live with we like carry, even though we don't look, you know, that's hence the look of a dead, you know, somebody walking around like a dead battery, because we're carrying our regrets, our resentments, our should have, could have, would have, you know, all that is with us. So we're living in a state of that is not propelling us to open up to something that's fresh and new at every moment. That's where we're heading.
And so we're going to take that heading into the classroom. We're going to take that heading into the self-healing rooms. We're going to take that into working with your family rooms.
Working and educating children that don't take it. The beauty and the spontaneity and the freshness and the aliveness of children doesn't have to be contained after you know, by your families, by religion, by society. It's like, wow, you know, you continue to live in that state and move in that state. So it's like right now, Ed and I are very much in the healing state of it. But after a while, there's going to be a whole bunch of human beings that are going to be moving as the new advanced human, where they're not going to be weighed down by their physical ailments and their mental ailments anymore. What kind of a world will that be? You know what I mean? So that's my vision.
I've been teaching kids for the last 20 years. Everywhere I go and give lectures, any opportunity I had to work with children, I showed them how to play with this energy. And one day I had a couple come to me and they had an autistic kid. And I didn't really understand autism, but I started playing with the energy with them. And to our total amazement, the child just come out of the box right there in 30 minutes and just started playing with the energy and started doing things with it. So I've been keeping up with him. And now he's like 4 years older, and he can pull me around. He can cause me to rock back and forth. And he is just so verbal and everything now. And
right, because that's the energy that they're thriving for. You know what I mean? Where they're not getting over here. So when that energy is presented to them, they're like, wow, I have a channel to open up to that. And then they could actually come into the expression of feelings and things like that, and expression and verbal and being verbal. So that to them is, you know, so that's like a blessing to autistic kids, you know, you know, to be able, I know, because I've dealt with schizophrenics and they're having this episode and they're completely, you know, in another reality, another dimension, hearing different, you know, voices and things like that. And I actually sit with them and I'm meeting them in the energy, that level of energy. And as I'm meeting them, yeah, it's distorted, you know, but they're still accessing it, you know. And so as I sit with them, and this particular individual, as I was sitting with him, and he was paranoid, and he was hearing voices and visual hallucinations, and actually I was meeting him in his, let's say, in his distortion of what he was really seeing or hearing, but yet what was real was that I was meeting him in his level of consciousness and that awareness. And I was, and all of a sudden there was a glimmer in the eye, in a sparkle in the eye, that there was a meeting, a true meeting. And in that true meeting, I was able to actually take this individual and bring him down here, and all of a sudden he was like talking like, do you think they'll be able to help me? You know, do you think, you know, it was like, wow. So this energy is really, it comes through on us not accessing this energy and being connected to it and aligned with it and having the knowledge of it is the
Yeah, it's electrical also.
it's the disturbances of humanity. Is exactly.
Yeah. And see, now we're also got another study that they're looking into that they're basing it on the reconnection of nerve tissue. And that was another reason for them purchasing these EEG dual channels for Lihi and I to wear, is that we're having phenomenal effect on people with neuropathy. When we apply this energy that you can see clearly being generated in our brains and everything, and apply it through the nervous systems of people with neuropathy, where right now we got doctors that have neuropathy that we send this energy to, and they're keeping all the statistical notes on it, supplying it back to the university for us to set up our future research projects. And all based on what Lihi and I can be doing is going on right now in real time between our brains to cause these effects to happen in people. And we're just, you know, it's just, I'm getting overwhelmed. For my private sessions are just cranking out there now. We're having such a great effect on people with this.
Yeah, and I'm getting overwhelmed with ideas because it's so vast, because it encompasses everything. It's prior to being here, and then building an image of who you are, and I am a plumber. I am 18 years old. It's all that, and it encompasses everything. So it's a new way of being human.
Yeah.
And it's time for, oh, go ahead.
Up to now, humans are the only creatures that refuse to be what they really are. And so we're
maybe we want to give a little demonstration, Ed.
Yeah. Ready? Would you like a demonstration planted in here?
Sure.
Okay. So you've experienced what I've done in the past. So stand up there for us.
Okay.
This is going to be dual. So you already know mine. Now, of course, the push and pull is prevalent in all of it. Me, Lihi only, or me only. The rock and rolling is the definition of the energy. So here we go. I'm resonating on Lihi. And so we're projecting it. We're kind of like a pyramid. Me and Lee are at the base 2 corners, and you're at the point. And all the people listening in the radio show in the future, they can come back and listen to this anytime. It'll get the same effect. So just stand there and allow this energy that Lihi and I are resonating to come flowing through you. How you feeling there, Craig?
Oh, I feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rocking forward and backwards a little bit.
Your fingers tingling any?
Now they are.
So this energy, and see, we're embedding a code, Lihi and I, since we're both here talking on the radio here and being recorded. She has her frequency. I have my little frequency. It's embedded in our voices. This is something they learned about me a long time ago, and it carries with everybody. And so this little special frequency that neither one of us can hear, the people that listen to this in the future, that little frequency will go into their consciousness and unlock it. It's like the key. And then that opens the door for this quantum event.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then integrating it into your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. You know, it's a key that unlocks. and it could unlock a Pandora's box, but if you're real about it and you really called and you're really moved by it, this is something that you want.
But this key right now in this event that we're doing will only unlock this event. Each of these keys, you do different things. So this event we're doing is not the Pandora box or anything. This is Ed and Lihi doing energy on the group of people here. This connects you into this one event only. Okay. So now sit back down and you'll feel just a good warm hum tingle for the rest of the show.
Ah, I do. Thank you.
I'm experiencing now and I'm experiencing the field here and beyond.
You're linking in now, Lihi. You're feeling the people in the future, something I've known about since the 90s. I could feel people way out in the future that were listening to the radio show after the fact.
That's for the people in the future that are right here, right now.
That's the ripple coming back right now.
Well, when we think about people in the future, we have recently, many astrologers think, clicked like 51% into the age of Aquarius from Pisces. So we did have our big Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. You may have looked outside and seen that up in the sky. And it seems like an event took place at that time because so many people were aware of the ages changing and looking forward to the ages changing into a more positive energy, a more electrical energy, a more futuristic energy. And that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, I mean, if you look on the internet, I think there's very few people who didn't take a picture of it. And there was so much energy focused on that moment of those two planets and the awareness of the ages changing. Have you guys felt anything? Have you guys been aware of that? Because it does seem like humanity is very much looking forward to that shift.
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, there's a whole stirring that's occurring, and there's no coincidence that, everything is happening all at once, and this energy, with Saturn and Jupiter, is coming into play. I mean, because it's what's happening is the depths of everything that's been contained is kind of coming out, you know what I mean? And it's showing up with this COVID, you know what I mean? The fears that are coming up, that in itself is shifting consciousness. So people don't know how to go with it. So now people are called to something more. And with this particular, everything that's going on a planetary level is coming into play, and people are noticing it. People are tired of how everything has been. Something else, a shift is moving within themselves. So this is a collaborative thing that's going on. And interestingly enough, they said something about, I'm not that well versed, but I've heard that at 9:02 on December 21st was like the epitome of this energy that that was happening, and that meant that if enough people were again in that state, in that presence of consciousness here, and with the movement of what's going on, it said something about if there's a group that was occurring at 9:02 and you were sharing this energy, it kind of, so people are feeling it. So interesting, we didn't do this consciously, and I've heard it also with other people, but our event was exactly at that time, you know what I mean? It was just like, wow, so it's definitely, there's a shift occurring, and definitely people are much more open and aware of it. And it's happening like wildfire now. And that's what I think it's a very important time.
Well, there's people, ever since I was featured on Ancient Aliens, they're learning about Lihi and I like crazy now. And it's just every week we're just getting tons of new people checking in on us. And it's really, the awakening is happening. This stuff that we're doing is above everything else that we know of out there. That's why these scientists study us. we can produce measurable results every time we go to the lab. And so this is the future.
And I can definitely attest to that, having worked with Ed, where when you do the energy work with Ed, and of course now Ed and Lihi, you feel it, you're aware of it. And like I say, many people have worked with healers and nothing really happens. But when you work with somebody who can make you shuffle around the room and you feel it, you feel the energy, you're swaying back and forth, um, it's
No
going to have
denying
an
it.
effect. Yeah, there's no denying it. So that's the thing. A person might be inquisitive, unsure, and and working with you two is a great way to, I would say, be sure, because when they feel the warmth, the energy, and they feel pushed back and forth and left and right, they're going to say, well, wait, no one's in the room with me, but so the energy must be real.
It's
And
the unseen force.
it's life changing. It is.
Yes,
Well,
the unseen force. When you have this force field of energy literally push you backwards and pull you forwards, it's invisible. You can't see it. And you know the guy creating it's hundreds of miles away from you.
And then you just open up to it, because it's just like you can't, like we said, you can't deny it. So there's a new level of openness, a new level of trust. You know, that's it's.
And that energy at and the thing is, it's, you could say it's therapy out, because if people are walking around literally with negative volts, that's not good. So a lot of people are, their battery's a bit dead, worst case, or their battery's not charged up 100% like it should be.
They're only using 8 to 12% of the brain, so they're not capable of charging the batteries up
Oh,
like they should be. That's what this buyer is. This buyer causes your brain to jump out of that 8 to 12 and go on up to possibilities of 90 to 95% of your brain. When you achieve over 60% use of your brain, you start producing more energy than you're consuming in your systems. You're able then, when you're above 60, to start locking onto the God particle, the God force energy, and tap that energy. So you're not draining energy to run your generator. You run your generator up enough to then lock onto God force energy and then pull that energy into you, and boom, and then you're running. Then you're really human.
then
Right.
you're
Otherwise,
cooking.
it's a collapsed reality.
Uh, that's
Otherwise,
it.
you're collapsing to yourself.
Yeah. You just be that
Wow.
normal 8 to 12 without it.
And you collapse into yourself, and then you just kind of yeah, you're just dealing with the physical human dilemma of aging and time, and it's not. So now when people kind of feel it, experience it, they're just like wowed by it, because they're experiencing what it is, that, who they really are. You know what I mean? Who they really are. They wouldn't be, they're being tapped in, they're being touched like never before without being touched physically. Isn't that interesting? So that's the way it works.
And when you start learning, when you start taking and doing the classes, and once we get the education, the schooling up and going, and everybody has this generating system built into them. Me and Lihi know how to operate it. So we're teaching, or we can't teach and tell you how to do it. We have to guide you to it. We have to take you on a journey, kind of a pathway, and you've got to shed this crud that you've been taught here that has no bearing on it, that was designed to take you away from this path. So we're putting you back on your proper path.
And the genius in you opens up.
Yeah, everything in you opens up. You can't do nothing if you don't have power to operate it with. And at 8 to 12%, all you got is just partially enough power to maintain life and stuff. And then when you have illness and stuff, that's why you go to the negative voltage, because you're not running your generator that is cranking out these huge amounts of energy. So all you're doing is just tapping your just reserve life force energy, and it's draining down. So like I say, you look like you're getting older and older and older and older, because you're just sucking the life out of you because your generator's not running.
You're getting older and older and older, and then you have the negative thoughts, and then you have the depression. It's all contained. So
So until you have enough energy, until you actually have that positive energy, it's not negative any longer. Like Ed says, 60%. You're really just recreating the past. But when you hit that 60%, you begin to create the future, something that doesn't exist yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you start bringing life back into your body. You start evolving. You start going on down the evolution path. There, you start becoming. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you start to have a presence. There's a presence that exudes from you because you're coming you're now connected to more than one level of consciousness, more than this 3D reality. And so there's just this presence and that exudes through you. And that's you know, that's you not only being human, but it's also the unseen you being embodied, you know. So that's what Ed and I and it's always unfolding. I mean, that's why I'm very, very much looking forward to creating this school because there's so many categories to it. There's so many people coming in from so many different levels. You know what I mean? So many different levels of understanding, so many different levels of education. People are kind of stuck in different places in different ways. But this energy is really it's scientifically proven, but it's magical. So it could bring people into a place of we all have our own different stuff that we're dealing with and all our limitations in that sense. But when you come into this energy, you're working with your own personal stuff to you know, whether it's neuropathy, whether it's a heart problem, whether it's depression. You may be coming in with all that, but then you get a lot more than you bargained for. You're like, wow, I'm unlimited. Wow, this is you know. And then you start to kind of learn more and more. But there's so many different components to it, and hence the school is what the awareness, the education for different populations, for different people with different ailments, people that can't achieve joy, people that have, how do you deal with, you know, what is death? It just takes everything from a completely different perspective of consciousness. And it's,
you get that consciousness right there and you turn it back around with this energy and it starts recharging your body and you start bringing life back into your body. I didn't mean to cut in. Sorry, Lee.
No, perfect. No, you segued perfect. So I'm just very excited when I talk about it. I get really excited. I feel like jumping out of my skin, you know, because it's this love that I've always had for not on a conscious level. Like I couldn't manage limited love. You know what I mean? It's been programmed for me. You do this and you do this to get this, and this is just a different way of love. It's a love that's not a personal need. It's not selfish. And that's who we all are. But yet we live here. We have different likes. We have different desires, but it doesn't come with separation of like jealousies and competition. But that needs to be developed. It's not intellectualized. It needs to be, this energy needs to be experienced and evolved from inside of you, from within, not just taught like a textbook. This is what you should believe in, and this is what makes sense. It's not going to work that way. Then it becomes a mental thing. So this energy is works from on an experimental level where people experience it for themselves, and they just, it's a knowing. It's just a knowing that something else is going on, and we're called to it. We're called to it, and that's what's happening at this point in time.
So if you want to really learn about this, come to the Lihi and Ed website and watch our event pages. Join our events and stuff. And I mean, that's the best way to get a healing session. We only charge $24.95 for a whole hour with us. And the numbers are just growing. I'm going to have to expand the Zoom room before long for the amount of people that are coming back and keep coming back and all. And so you go to our website, www.lihi, as spelled LIHI-AND-EDD.com, and join our newsletter there, the Universal Love newsletter, because every time we do these different events, we put out a newsletter. and stuff. And so people know to come register. I always include the links and everything in them.
Yeah, definitely join that newsletter. I've been watching it go by and I have not joined in, and I'm going to. So I will be there. And let's see, if people want to work with you guys individually or as a couple, basically, if they want to get a session for themselves, they can find that on the site too. Are you guys still
Correct.
doing that? Hmm.
Yes, on the Lihi and Ed side, that's where we do the combined, or Lihi does her private, or we do joint sessions there. And
Yes,
then
definitely. Mhm.
uh-huh.
Yes, I
Yeah.
definitely
So
would.
yeah, and you can have it for
Okay.
a half an hour. You can have it for longer. It's whatever it is that fits your
So,
fits your
you
needs.
go to, I believe the link is combined, Lihi and Ed's combined energy work. And just a moment, I'll find it, make sure.
Yep, I see it there. There's a link. So you go to lihianded.com, and then there's the Lihi and Ed Combined Energy tab, and that's where you can get your
Yeah,
session.
click that, and then you hit the little bitty drop down arrow that says our energy work, and it'll give you the different things that you can pick from there.
Yes. Well, that's wonderful. And, like I say, everybody out there that's listening, I've done sessions with Ed. I know other people have also, and it was amazing. And I just did one with Lihi and Ed. So it's great stuff. And it definitely helped me through some a definite issue I was having that was quite painful. And it helped me get through that. And I can attest to it myself. So definitely get in on the buyer effect. Go on that newsletter, and I'd love to. I'm going to start going to the events now. I'm glad to have caught up with you guys because it's just I haven't been keeping up, and it's time to. And so I will see you guys in the Zoom, and I hope that I see some of the listeners in the Zoom. Tell them Radiant Creators sent you, and I've had you guys for a while. It's been wonderful. Any closing thoughts?
Well, if your people that come from this show would like to, and we'll know where they come from, we'll give you a 15% discount from you that come from this show here. So if you would put, when you come to our site there and you register for our event, there's a coupon box there where you register. So if you'll put in Union, capital UNION 15, all run together, Union 15, and we'll knock 15% off your first time with us to experience what we do.
All right. That is perfection. Well, I will see you guys this coming Monday, maybe. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, thank you for having us here. It's it's a pleasure meeting you, and looking forward to having you in the group and everybody else.
Yeah, both of us little Radiant Creators here at Radiant Creators headquarters will be there. We will talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for being on Radiant Creators, and I'll link to all the stuff in the show notes, and I will send that to you when we get it up.
Thank you, Craig. We've enjoyed it. We've had a wonderful time. And Lihi and I are just going to make your world shine.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Come experience it for yourself.
Yeah, this is the new wave, people.
Yeah, you might have a whole seat, but you only need the edge when you're there. Take care.